In this world, storms will rise. Winds will test your balance. Voices will shout at you, tempt you, break you. But the one who bends to every wind, the one who reacts to every sound, can never lead their own path. Emotions are chains. Freedom begins when you break them. Every human is born into a world where feelings dominate. Fear creeps in when the unknown appears. Anger rises when ego is touched. Sadness weighs down the heart when loss strikes, and joy explodes when desires are met. But when you look deeper, you will see that every one of these emotions, no matter how natural they feel, are shackles tying you down. They control the way you walk, the way you breathe, the way you speak, the way you choose. You think you are making choices freely, but in truth, emotions are pulling the strings. Fear convinces you to hide when you should act. Anger convinces you to destroy when you should stay calm. Desire convinces you to chase shadows when you should stay still. If you follow these chains, you are no longer in control, you are being controlled. When fear takes over, you lose sight of reality. A small obstacle becomes a giant mountain. A simple risk feels like a death sentence. Fear whispers that you are too weak, too late, too broken. You obey, and so you remain trapped. Anger comes like fire, promising strength but delivering destruction. It burns bridges, it blinds your reason, it makes you a prisoner of the moment. And then there is desire, sweet and poisonous, promising happiness, but leaving you with emptiness once the thrill is gone. Every emotion, whether it looks heavy or sweet, becomes a master over you. As long as you serve it, you will never know freedom. Freedom is not the absence of life's storms. It is the ability to walk through storms without being shaken. Imagine standing in the center of chaos, where people shout, losses strike, insults fly, and temptations rise. If you are ruled by emotions, you will collapse like a weak wall under heavy rain. But if you break the chains, you remain solid, untouched, and unmoved. That is where true power begins. To break the chains of emotions is not to kill your humanity, it is to rise above illusions. You can feel emotions knocking at the door, but you do not let them rule the house. You acknowledge their presence, but you do not kneel to them. The truth is simple: emotions are only energy. They are waves passing through your mind and body, temporary, unstable, and unreliable. You do not have to ride every wave. You do not have to sink when the wave is too strong. The ocean of your being is deeper than any wave of anger, fear, or joy. When you stop reacting, you discover the vast stillness beneath. That stillness is where freedom lives. A person who is free from emotional chains does not collapse when insulted, does not lose direction when praised, does not panic when threatened, and does not become addicted when rewarded. They walk with clarity, with balance, with power that no one can steal. To break these chains requires awareness. Every time fear rises, see it. Every time anger rises, see it. Every time desire rises, see it. Do not push it away, do not drown in it, simply witness it. When you observe instead of react, the chains loosen. With discipline, the chains fall away. Slowly you reclaim yourself piece by piece, and one day you realize you are no longer a servant to feelings. You are their master. That is the moment you taste freedom. That is the moment you truly begin to control everything. Silence inside is the greatest form of strength. The world we live in is loud, filled with endless noise, distractions, and voices pulling you in every direction. People shout their opinions, circumstances demand your reactions, and your own thoughts race like wild horses. Most people are trapped in this noise, believing that strength comes from shouting louder, fighting harder, or proving themselves in every battle. But true strength does not come from chaos, it comes from stillness. The one who can remain calm while storms rage is the one who holds the real power. Silence inside does not mean the absence of thought, it means mastery over thought. It means you decide which thoughts to entertain and which ones to let pass. It means that no external chaos can shake the calm core within you. When you cultivate inner silence, you begin to see clearly. Emotions lose their power over you. Temptations lose their shine, and insults lose their sting. You stop reacting to everything around you and begin responding with precision. Silence is not weakness, it is control. In silence, you can hear the truth that noise hides. In silence, you can see the path that distractions cover. Most people live like leaves in the wind, tossed around by every circumstance, because their minds never stop making noise. They cannot sit still without needing to escape into entertainment, conversations, or constant activity. This dependence on noise makes them weak. But the one who can sit in silence, who can look inward without fear, builds unshakable strength. Silence is where discipline grows. When the mind is quiet, decisions become sharp. You no longer move because of pressure, fear, or desire. You move because you choose to. You gain the ability to wait, to endure, to act at the right moment instead of rushing blindly. This is a strength louder than any voice, more powerful than any outburst of anger. A silent mind cannot be manipulated because it does not react. A silent heart cannot be broken easily because it does not cling. A silent soul cannot be defeated because it draws power from a deeper source than noise. Think of water. When water is disturbed, it becomes muddy and unclear. You cannot see the bottom, you cannot find direction. But when water is still, everything becomes visible. The same is true for the mind. In silence, you see your weaknesses, your strengths, your path, and your purpose. In silence, the lies of the world are exposed because they can no longer distract you. This clarity is strength because clarity allows control. A mind that sees clearly cannot be deceived, cannot be rushed, cannot be forced into weakness. Many fear silence because it reveals the truth of who they are. They avoid it by drowning themselves in noise, but in doing so, they also avoid their power. Silence is not emptiness, it is fullness. It is where you find focus, where you gather energy, where you prepare to strike with precision. Every great leader, every disciplined warrior, every master of self has understood this. The power of silence is greater than the power of force. Noise may shake the surface, but silence controls the foundation. And when the foundation is unshakable, nothing outside can take away your strength. Control begins the moment reaction ends. Life is full of triggers. A word spoken against you, a failure that hits unexpectedly, a temptation that shines in front of you. All these things push you to react instantly. The natural mind wants to fight back when attacked, to panic when pressured, to chase when tempted. But every reaction is a chain, and every chain takes away your freedom. The more you react, the less control you have. Reaction means you are being moved by something outside of you, instead of moving by choice from within. When you stop reacting, you take the first step toward mastery. The space between what happens to you and what you choose to do is where your power lies. When someone insults you and you react with anger, you give them control. They have pulled your strings and you danced. When fear rises and you run away, you give it control. It dictates where you go, how you move, what you avoid. When desire tempts you and you rush toward it without thought, you give it control. The world becomes your master, and you become a servant to every situation. This is how most people live, pulled in all directions, slaves to emotions, slaves to impulses, slaves to reactions. Control begins when you cut these strings. Control begins when you pause, when you refuse to give in, when you choose not to react. To master yourself, you must build the strength of stillness, the ability to face the trigger and not move. The ability to feel the fire of anger and remain calm. The ability to feel the wave of fear and remain steady. The ability to see the shine of temptation and remain unmoved. This is not suppression, it is transformation. Suppression means pushing emotions down and pretending they do not exist. Transformation means seeing them, understanding them, and refusing to let them command you. In this refusal, you gain freedom. In this freedom, you gain control. Imagine being in a room where chaos unfolds. People are shouting, problems are rising, panic is spreading. Most people in that room will react, raising their voices, rushing without clarity, collapsing under the pressure. But the one who does not react, the one who observes first, chooses second, and acts with precision, this person becomes the leader of the room. Not because they forced control, but because they owned themselves when everyone else lost themselves. The moment you stop reacting, you rise above the level of the crowd. You become untouchable because nothing outside can move you without your permission. Every reaction is an invitation to lose control, and every pause is an opportunity to gain it. This is why discipline is the foundation of mastery. Discipline is the training of the mind to wait, to hold back, to see before moving. With discipline, reactions fade and responses grow. Reactions are blind, responses are clear. Reactions are chains, responses are freedom. The more you practice pausing before reacting, the stronger you become. At first it feels unnatural, but over time it becomes your nature. You no longer rush into anger, fear, or temptation. You stand still, and then you choose. The truth is that control is not about dominating others. It is about dominating yourself. It is not about forcing the world into submission. It is about refusing to submit to impulses. The moment reaction ends, control begins, and once control begins, freedom follows. A person who can control themselves cannot be broken, because no situation can command them, no person can own them, and no feeling can master them. This is the core of true power. Discipline is the shield, focus is the sword, detachment is the armor. Without discipline, a person is exposed to every weakness. They wake up when they feel like it, work only when they are motivated, and give in when comfort calls. Such a person cannot stand in the battlefield of life because they have no shield to protect them from laziness, distractions, or temptations. Discipline is not punishment, it is protection. It creates order where chaos wants to rule. It gives you structure when emotions want to scatter you. With discipline, you can walk forward no matter how heavy the weight, no matter how loud the noise, no matter how tempting the shortcuts. Discipline blocks the blows that would break weaker minds, and because of that, it becomes your first shield. But a shield alone cannot win a battle. You need a weapon. That weapon is focus. Focus is the sword that cuts through confusion and doubt. Focus gives direction when the world is filled with endless paths. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they scatter their energy in 100 directions and never strike deep in one. Focus is the ability to lock your mind on one target and cut away everything else. When you carry the sword of focus, distractions lose their power. You no longer chase what shines, you only chase what matters. Every cut is precise, every strike is intentional, every effort goes to the heart of the mission. With focus, small actions become sharp blades that pierce through great obstacles. Without it, even the strongest efforts become dull and useless. Still, even with shield and sword, you need something more, because battles are not only physical, they are emotional. This is where detachment becomes the armor. The one who is attached to outcomes becomes vulnerable. The one who craves recognition, who fears loss, who clings to people, possessions, or praise, leaves open gaps for pain to enter. Detachment is the armor that covers those gaps. Detachment does not mean indifference. It means you do not depend on anything outside of you to stand strong. You can fight without fear of losing. You can win without being intoxicated by victory. You can lose without being broken by defeat. Detachment makes you untouchable because nothing external can pierce your inner core. It allows you to move with clarity because you are not blinded by greed or fear. It allows you to stay unshaken because your power is not borrowed from the world. It is rooted within yourself. When shield, sword, and armor come together, a different kind of human is created. A human who is disciplined in daily actions, who protects themselves from weakness with the shield. A human who is sharp and decisive, who wields focus like a sword that never misses its mark. A human who is detached and unshakable, who wears armor that no insult, no loss, no temptation can pierce. This trinity builds a warrior of life, Every challenge becomes a battlefield where laziness, distraction, and fear try to attack, but the shield blocks, the sword strikes, and the armor endures. This is why those who lack one of these fall quickly. Without discipline, their shield is broken and they are vulnerable. Without focus, their sword is blunt and they cannot win. Without detachment, their armor is weak and they are pierced easily. But the one who carries all three becomes unstoppable, not because life is easy, but because they are fully equipped for every fight. The body follows the mind, and the mind follows silence. Every action you take, every step you walk, every habit you live is commanded by the mind. If the mind is weak, the body collapses. If the mind is restless, the body wanders without direction. But if the mind is steady, the body becomes a servant of strength. The secret of endurance, of discipline, of mastery lies not in the muscles, but in the thoughts that guide them. A tired body can keep going if the mind commands it. A broken body can rise again if the mind refuses to quit. This is why the strongest warriors are not always the biggest, but always the calmest. They understand that the body is nothing more than an instrument, and the true conductor is the mind, yet even the mind is not free. The mind follows what it is trained to follow. For most people, the mind chases noise. It jumps from one thought to another, never resting, never still. It gets pulled by fear, by temptation, by the endless distractions of the world. Such a mind cannot command the body because it does not command itself. It becomes a servant to emotions, to desires, to illusions. A restless mind produces a restless body. But when the mind learns silence, everything changes. Silence is the foundation that gives the mind its strength. In silence, the mind is no longer a storm but a still lake. And from that stillness, true control emerges. When the mind follows silence, decisions become clear. You see what is real and what is illusion. You stop rushing into every impulse and begin moving only when it matters. This clarity flows into the body, giving it direction and discipline. The body wakes when it should, rests when it should, works when it should. The hands create instead of destroy. The feet walk with purpose instead of wandering. The eyes focus instead of drifting. The body becomes an extension of a silent mind, precise and powerful. In this way, silence shapes the mind, and the mind shapes the body, forming a cycle of strength. Think of the difference between a soldier and a panicked crowd. A crowd moves without order, their bodies clashing, their energy wasted, because their minds are restless. A soldier moves with rhythm, with control, with strength, because his mind follows silence and discipline. The body mirrors the mind. If the mind is angry, the body tightens. If the mind is afraid, the body trembles. If the mind is calm, the body becomes steady. To master the body, you must first master the mind, and to master the mind, you must return it to silence. Silence is not emptiness, it is power without noise. It is the space where the mind resets, where thoughts are chosen instead of scattered, where energy gathers instead of leaks. A silent mind does not waste itself on unnecessary battles. It does not react to every insult. It does not chase every distraction. It does not crumble under every fear. Instead, it directs its energy with precision. The body, in turn, obeys this command. The result is endurance beyond limits, focus beyond normal capacity, discipline beyond excuses. The body becomes a servant of clarity, and clarity comes only from silence. This is why the greatest victories are born not from chaos but from calmness. A silent mind leads a powerful body, and a powerful body shapes a powerful life. Those who chase noise are scattered. Those who embrace silence are unshakable. The body follows the mind, and the mind follows silence, and through this chain the human being discovers true control, true strength, and true freedom. The one who feels nothing becomes untouchable, unstoppable, unshaken. Most people move through life like fragile glass, cracking under the smallest pressure, breaking when emotions cut too deep. They are slaves to joy and despair alike, celebrating too much when praised, collapsing too quickly when criticized. They rise and fall with every wave of feeling, never finding steady ground. But the one who learns to detach from feelings, the one who does not let emotions command them, rises above the fragile nature of ordinary life. To feel nothing is not to be empty, it is to be free. It is to live without being pulled by every chain of desire, fear, anger, or sorrow. Such a person walks through fire and does not burn, because the flames cannot touch the calm within. When insults come, the ordinary person reacts. They defend, they fight, they break. But the one who feels nothing does not bend to the words of others. Insults pass through them like wind through the mountains, leaving no mark. When losses strike, the ordinary person mourns endlessly, drowning in self-pity. But the one who feels nothing accepts loss as a moment, not as a life sentence. They remain steady, they remain unbroken. They continue forward while others remain trapped in grief. When temptations shine, the ordinary person chases them blindly, enslaved by desire. But the one who feels nothing stands unmoved, because nothing outside has power over their core. This detachment makes them untouchable, because nothing can pierce their stillness. To be unstoppable is not about endless motion. It is about refusal to quit. Most people stop when pain rises, when failure stings, when the path becomes difficult. But the one who feels nothing does not measure their steps by comfort. They do not stop because it hurts. They do not stop because it is heavy. They do not stop because it is long. They keep moving forward, untouched by the weight that crushes others. Pain may strike, but they do not collapse. Fear may whisper, but they do not obey. Failure may appear, but they do not surrender. Without emotions pulling them back, there is nothing to slow them down. They become a force that cannot be stopped, because nothing can convince them to stop. And to be unshaken is the highest form of power. Life is full of storms, betrayal, failure, loss, rejection. Every storm tries to shake your foundation, to make you doubt yourself, to make you lose balance. Most people fall when the winds blow, swaying with every change, losing themselves when things do not go their way. But the one who feels nothing stands like a mountain. The winds scream, the rains fall, the storms rage, yet they do not move. Their power does not depend on circumstances. Their confidence does not depend on approval. Their strength does not depend on comfort. They are rooted in stillness, and so they remain unshaken no matter what surrounds them. This state of being is not coldness, it is clarity. It is not weakness, it is mastery. It is the highest freedom a human can reach, to be untouchable by insult, unstoppable by failure, unshaken by pain. When emotions can no longer rule you, nothing can control you. When you feel nothing, you are no longer a servant of the world, you are its master. In that mastery lies the secret of absolute power, the unbreakable state where no one and nothing outside of you can decide your fate. The path is clear, emotions are chains, silence is strength. Control begins where reaction ends, discipline guards you, focus guides you, detachment protects you. And when you feel nothing, you become untouchable. This is not the path of comfort, but the path of mastery, where the mind commands, the body obeys, and the soul remains unshaken. In this state, nothing outside can control you, because everything inside is already under your command. Feel nothing, control everything. That is where true power begins, and where freedom is finally found.